video I'm going to show you how to create a blurred edge around an image for the times when you want to have an image on a page but you don't want the hard line, you just want it to blur into the background. And you can do this in 3 different ways. In PowerPoint, of course, you can do it by just clicking on the image and selecting blur edge. Not so simple in Affinity. However, here's a cheap way which I find works extremely well. So I've got this image which I've brought in, and I want this to have a blurred edge. The way to do that is to draw a box which we'll have as a square rectangle, the same size as the image, and draw it just over the top. You don't want a colour on it, but you do want a stroke. So the stroke is going to be a very wide stroke, and I usually set it for around about 25 to 30 points. We'll have this one around about that, about in between. And the colour is nothing at all. So now you can see a white border around the image, but that's no good because you've still got a hard line. So to blur the line around the outside, we're going to choose Special Effects down here, Gaussian Blur, and we're going to set the Gaussian blur for anywhere you like really, but the bigger the points, the more you can see of the hard edge because it just becomes transparent. So somewhere in the middle is about right. Okay, and set that. And there you can now see that you have the image in the corner with a blurred edge. However, if you got hold of the image and moved it, it would lose its blurred edge. So we need to group those to make sure they don't get lost, and that is select both of the images and Control G, if you remember your shortcuts, for group. And then when you pick it up and move it, the blurred edge will stay with it. So that's one way. Another way is to set up a master page with the same outline, and you can draw a box on the page, or you can copy the one you've just done and resize it. So we'll draw a box on the page, and I'm going to put a black background on it so you can see. In fact, I'll make that one black so you can see when the stroke on the outside is done, you'll be able to see it. And we're going to create another box which is going to be our outline, and because that was the last thing we did, it's drawn it in the same way. So the stroke is the right width, and now we're going to put the Gaussian blur on it by selecting Special Effects and Gaussian Blur, and take it to about halfway and close. And you can adjust the size of this so that you can be sure that your edge is blurred all the way through. If you take it down, take the colour off on the inside. It's something I always forget to do, so turn that off. And then when you select it, you will be able to move it to fit the outside. Now that's, if you leave that on a master page, and we'll just take that black background off. You obviously can't see it because it's white. You could just about see a faint outline, but that size remains the same on every single page that you apply that master to. So that only really works if you're going to have images that will fill that right size frame, and or adjust the size of the image to fit within the frame. So the way I use it, if I use it on a master page, is I'll set up the master page. In fact, most of my templates have this as a master page, and I'll simply copy the frame, and to any page I have an image that I wish to resize it and give it a Gaussian blur on the edge of the image. That way I find it's versatile. A third way of doing it, if you want to create a blur around an irregular shaped image, is to draw a stroke around the outside. So you'll use the pen tool and you just click around, and don't worry about the weird shape that's coming out. We will sort that out in a minute. And just keep clicking around until you've completed the box and you have a shape. And then we're going to select all these nodes. So you hold the Shift key down and just select right across and come up to the top and where you see the convert menu, you choose the right hand one, which is convert to smart, and that then takes more or less the shape of what you've just drawn. You can adjust this slightly by clicking on the various nodes and just moving them around on the ends here to straighten them up and just adjust them in to fit your shape slightly better. Takes a little bit of practice, but once you've got the hang of it, it's quite quick and easy to do. Oops. Okay, now we're going to put the Gaussian blur on, and you will see that the shape starts to disappear into the edge of the blur. This one's not quite in far enough. Need to pull that in a bit more. Okay, I'm happy with that. So there we have an image for the corner with a slightly blurred edge, which will blend it into your page better than if it was just a hard line. And that principle applies to any shape really, whether it's a flower, whether it's well, any image that you want to fit within any page that you want to be on every page of your product. So if you're going to create a journal and you want this particular crystal image on each corner and you put that on the master page, that will then show up all the way through.